So let's talk about something really important. The leap from being a coder to becoming a software engineer. It sounds like a small difference in title, but trust me, it can define your whole career. It's about shifting from just writing code to, the discipline of building systems that actually last.
So, you can code. Maybe you've mastered a language, or you can whip up an app in a weekend. That's awesome, really. But does that automatically make you an engineer? The thing is, the journey from coder to engineer, it's not really about learning more syntax. It's about a total shift in mindset. And that's what we're going to dig into.
All right, to get to the bottom of this, we've got to go back. Way, way back. See, the term software engineering didn't just pop up in some Silicon Valley garage. Nope. It was forged in probably the highest stakes environment you can imagine, the Apollo program. We're talking about a place with literally zero room for error. And right at the heart of that whole massive effort was Margaret Hamilton. She led the software team at NASA, the team responsible for, no big deal, just landing astronauts on the moon. The code her team wrote wasn't just important, it was absolutely mission critical.
So why'd she come up with that term in the first place? Well, back in those days, software was kind of seen as this afterthought, like a craft, not a real science. And Hamilton knew that way of thinking was dangerously, dangerously wrong. She specifically called it software engineering to force people to treat it with the same seriousness, the same rigor as building the actual rocket. She was fighting for respect because people's lives were on the line.
Okay, so Hamilton gave the field its name, but what does it actually mean day to day? Let's take a look at how some of the big thinkers who came after her started to put some real definition around it. What really separates a few lines of code from a whole system?
A great place to start is with David Parnas. He talks about multi-person development. Right away, that points to teamwork, communication, having shared standards, basically the exact opposite of a lone coder hacking away in a basement. And the other part, multi-version programs, that's huge. It means you're not just writing a one-off script, you're building something that's meant to live, to breathe, to evolve over years.
Then you've got Fred Brooks, and he adds another absolutely critical piece of the puzzle. He talks about integration, making sure your code plays nice with everyone else's, and usability. And pay close attention to that last part, for use by people who had not written them. This is brilliant because it captures the entire shift in focus. It's not just about you and the computer anymore, it's about a whole world of other developers and, crucially, the people who are actually going to use the software.
Okay, so let's boil this all down. This chart really hits the nail on the head. A programmer, they write code. An engineer, they build systems. See the difference? A programmer might be working solo on one version of something for one specific task, but an engineer is part of a team, managing a product that's constantly changing and building it for people who have no idea how it works under the hood. It's a completely different level of scope and responsibility. All right, so that's the what. We've defined the work. But what about the who? What about the person doing that work? This, right here, gets to the absolute heart of it all. Becoming an engineer is all about adopting a professional mindset that's so much more than just being good at coding. Yeah, check out these 3 words. They are everything. Disciplined means you have a process. You're rigorous. You build stuff that doesn't fall over. Customer-focused. That's all about empathy. You're not just building something cool for yourself, you're solving a real problem for another human being. And agile? That just means you can roll with the punches. Because if there's one thing that's guaranteed in software, it's that things are going to change.
And this next idea is so powerful. See, engineering isn't this solo activity you do in a vacuum. It's a community, a profession with shared standards, a code of ethics, and this huge body of collective knowledge. So the real goal isn't just to land a job. It's to become a real contributing member of that professional community.
Which brings us to our last point. And honestly, this might be the most important takeaway of all. If you had to pick just one skill that truly defines a great engineer, it's not being a master of some specific language or framework. It's something much, much deeper.
I mean, we see these kinds of goals all the time, right? People say, I want to be a great iOS dev, or I need to master Android development, or I'm going to learn Dart and Flutter. And look, those are good goals. They're great specific skills to have. But, and this is a big but, they might be missing the real point. And I can hear you now. Wait a minute, isn't that the whole point of learning? Well, not quite. Focusing only on the hot new tool of the day, that can be a trap.
Because this is the real secret. The absolute #1 engineering skill is meta-learning. It's learning how to learn. It's about building the mental frameworks and the discipline so you can pick up any of those technologies, and more importantly, the ones that haven't even been invented yet, and do it quickly and do it well. The tech will always change, but the ability to learn, that lasts forever. That is the core of an engineering mindset.
So let's leave you with a question to chew on. After all this, from Margaret Hamilton and the moon landing to the whole philosophy of learning, what does being a disciplined engineer actually mean to you in your work, on your team, right now? Because thinking about that, really thinking about it, that's the question that can take you from just being a coder to being a true engineer.